William, how did you and Sophie meet?
Sophie's the one that removed my arm about a year back.
Oh. The other surgeons, they botched it, so I wanted to make sure it was done right.
How do you expect him to take care of himself, let alone you? It may be a few years of bliss, but I can guarantee that you will grow to resent every minute of it.
Come on up, come on up. All right, so do we have any questions for Jeff and Julia for their films? Any burning questions that people would like to know? I have one. I mean,
you got one?
We got one? No? Okay, here we go.
I have a couple questions. One is for, of course, motivation for the film, and then for Jeff, your aircraft, the interior props, how did you do those?
Well, it's real B-17, and it was at the Palm Springs Air Museum, and those guys got on board with it and actually went around hunting for pieces that they could put in the plane. They collected them from other museums and brought them so that we could actually do this. They just got totally involved in it. Plus, it's a museum there, and they have access to a lot of their own stuff. Of course, there was no bullets in any of the belts, so my CG guys added bullets to the belts. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's if they're flying with an empty belt of no rounds in it, it doesn't make any sense. It's not authentic. It's not authentic. So we just.
But now that also
try to do everything there.
That also, though, as we were talking in the interview, the fact that you were in those close quarters, also led to you getting a camera to work with that. That also was a different partnership you had.
Well, we had to do something different. I wanted to shoot in 35 millimeter, and if we had done digitally, we could have gotten a lot smaller cameras into the plane. But I wanted the texture, the feel, the pastel colors, and at the time we were shooting, there really wasn't a digital camera made. I mean, the Alexa wasn't out, it was just coming out, and that could actually capture the tone quality that I needed in white uniforms on snow at night. We were talking extreme latitudes, and Kodak really got on board with that idea and actually donated almost half the film for the project. Panavision donated the cameras. The fact that we were shooting in 35 millimeter, there was a whole lot of film cameras that weren't being used anymore, and so they just gave them to us to actually use. the smallest of which was an Aton 35-3, which is fits on your shoulder. It's very tiny, about like about this big, and we use that one inside the plane with a 17mm lens from Panavision. The perspective on it is great. You see what a beautiful lens that is, because when you shoot wide angle, usually everybody's heads are big. Anything that comes close to the camera gets really large. Panavision has some very beautiful lenses.
So you had also asked about the motivation. So Julia, what was the motivation for your piece?
That's a good question. So a friend of mine who is a real history buff told me.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can we give them the microphone?
Oh, yes, sure.
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
Yeah, Dan.
Hello. Does this help?
Back off so that she's reflecting on the screen.
I can move.
I'm just going to unplug that.
There
And
you
that
go.
won't matter.
Oh, yes, it will.
Oh. It can make any difference to the HDMI.
Can you tell it's our first Q&A?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, great.
We're ironing it out.
So a friend of mine is a history buff, and she told me about this group in the Civil War called the Invalid Corps. It's actually a group that existed of soldiers who were injured in battle who could continue serving, but not in non-combat duties. So the one character is inspired by the Invalid Corps, and then the other character, the woman, is inspired by a real woman surgeon named Mary Walker from the Civil War. She was the first woman ever to be employed by the U.S. Army. She was a really unique woman. She kind of defied the norms of her time in a lot of ways, obviously by her career. Her gender, she would wear pants and top hats, and she was arrested on multiple occasions for impersonating a man. So really way ahead of her time. So there's sort of the collision of those two historical ideas. I just thought that would be really cool to see those come together. So this was a fun way to play with that in a short form and see where that could go.
So Jeff, your motivation for Krieg?
I wanted to do a project. I actually didn't have an idea for a movie when I started this. I wanted to do a project that would help a lot of the filmmakers that I've been working with show off their talents. And generally, you don't really get an opportunity to do that when you're working with independent films. And so the idea was to serve others, and that became the theme of the movie. And then I had to come up with an idea that would actually reflect that. And in order to really do it, we had to do something that was extremely ambitious, which meant that we were going to do everything that they tell you not to do in film school or whatever. I mean, you don't do foreign language, you don't do costume heavy, you don't do props,
period films.
You don't do war and period films, you just don't do them. And that became the real challenge, how to pull it off on a no to low budget. Yeah.
See, go ahead.
When was your film made? Because it sounds like you were at the tail end of film, because that whole thing was going away. I guess. So what year was this done?
Well,
What years?
what years? We started filming. I rolled camera for the first time at the Palm Springs Air Museum on the B-17 in 2010.
Okay.
And every 2 years we went back out and filmed. So over the course of 6 years we shot for 30 days. It took me 8 years to actually, from the day we rolled camera, to actually put the project out there. And in all, counting the 2 years that I spent researching, developing, collecting props, etc., about 10 years into that film.
And as you said, the choice of using film was a choice.
It was
You
definitely-
wanted to use film. It wasn't that was what was being used at the time. I think we had a question over here.
For each of you, what was the most challenging aspect of making the film?
Oh, there were so many. Gosh, I think for me, just working under, I kind of think of it as having almost like three So there's the narrative goals you want to tell, the story you want to tell in your head, and then that sort of hits up against the practical constraints you're working with, your budget, and what you have available to you. So, and then that hits up against a third category in this particular case, which is period films, bring this historical accuracy and this component that is another constraint you have to take into consideration. And they all work together in good ways, but they're also very difficult when you're working under limitations. I mean, I like to say that limitation helps creativity, and I think it really does. But you're also, you can be constrained by it as well. And so I think for me the biggest challenge was just probably, I mean, how the historical accuracy kind of, how to balance that with telling a story that was compelling. Because like when I was writing it, I would just felt frozen the whole time with what would they say? Is this how they'd say it? You know, what are they even picking up? Did that exist then? You know, having to check with a consultant about every single thing. If you're also a perfectionist like I am, that's really the kiss of death, because you got to be careful that you don't get so obsessive about the accuracy that you forget about the emotional side and the story you're really trying to tell. So I think for me that was the challenge, is balancing all those components together.
Now you added one more challenge to yours in that you wanted to use actually disabled actors.
Yeah, that's actually true. So that was another challenge. So the two actors that you see in the film that are both amputees, they are actually amputees. So finding them was very difficult because I was very stubborn about it. I wanted to cast disabled actors, and I definitely got the response, you know, just cast a guy who's got an arm and put a green screen on it. I thought, well, first off, that's not that easy, but second off, I'm flattered you think I could do that and have the budget to do that. But also, I just thought it was important to cast those actors as actual disabled actors. And what I found was that working as an independent filmmaker, as a younger filmmaker who, you know, at the budget we were at, it was really hard to find them. And we're in DC. I ended up getting the father, I found him in New York, and I found the soldier in Los Angeles. So a lot of the budget ended up being bringing them out to us to film with us, just because I was really stubborn about doing that. And I think it was important, but it's definitely something that we still have a ways to go in terms of making sure that those people are accessible to us as the filmmakers, and making sure that we are accessible to them so that they can be part of our projects.
Kudos to you for authenticity. I mean, and with your actors and everything. And ditto to everything that you've said here. For me, if I were to put it into one word, it would be continuity. And that applies to weather and costumes and the people, giving your talent to be there 6 years.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, right, what could, you know. I mean, I didn't intend to take that long to do it. It was just wrought with disaster. I mean, and it really comes down to perseverance and being able to push your way through it.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah, so, sorry, I have a follow-on question. I'm just fascinated about this film thing. So, did you edit with like Steam Decks, or did you have it converted to digital and then edit it?
No, what we did was we did a telecine, and then I digitized the telecine, and then I cut it on Avid. So it, you know, abbreviated that process.
Gotcha.
I'm not into the art of the film. I'm into what the film can actually do,
Right.
as far as bringing its qualities and how it actually looks.
Yeah, well, I think it looks absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I have a question. Had either of you made films prior to this?
I've made a lot of short films for fun, and I think you learn as you go, and so each one's gotten just a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. So this is definitely the biggest, most challenging one I've done. That was very much outside my comfort zone, so I think it's good to always be outside your comfort zone, so they go a little bit bigger. So yeah, before this, only other short films that are smaller than this one.
About challenging yourself. I've been working in the industry for quite some time, but never on any of my own projects. So this was my first film.
Any other questions? I think that's a good. And
Yeah, pizza.
we have pizza. Awesome.